I sit alone in the dimly lit room, the only glow coming from my phone screen. The whiskey stings as it slides down my throat, but it doesn't ease the ache in my chest. My hand shakes as I scroll through the messages again, each one cutting deeper. Shameless, explicit words exchanged between my wife and her supervisor. They had tried to hide it with code names and secret meetups, but they grew sloppy, or perhaps they stopped caring altogether. I'm an accomplished man in my mid-40s in decent shape and with a thriving career. I've earned everything I have through hard work. I always believed I was a good husband, perhaps not the most exciting, but loyal and steady. My wife, Emma, and I have been married for over 15 years. Together, we built a life, a beautiful home, memories, plans for the future. From the outside, everything appeared flawless. Even now, if someone walked into this room, they'd see a man with a seemingly perfect life. But here I am, alone in the dark, drowning in betrayal. I trusted Emma. We had our challenges like any couple, but I never questioned her loyalty. Lately, though, she'd grown distant, more focused on work and less interested in me. I noticed but didn't push. I thought it was just a phase. I was wrong. As I sit here, memories of the last few months flood back, how she'd pull away when I tried to touch her. The late nights at the office, the excuses that, at the time, seemed reasonable. Now, in hindsight, the signs are glaringly obvious. The passion we once shared has faded, replaced by a cold, growing distance. I blame myself for not seeing it sooner, for being so blind. I scroll further, stopping at a message from a few days ago. My heart pounds as I read it. Her supervisor, Lucas, had texted her, "Can't stop thinking about last night. You were incredible." The words burn into my mind, each one a punch to the gut. The images these words evoke make me sick. I tighten my grip on the phone, my knuckles white with tension. How could she do this? How could she allow him to touch her, to be with her? My thoughts spiral in a storm of anger, pain, and something darker I can't quite name. I feel like I'm losing control, like the person I've been for years is slipping away, being replaced by someone I don't recognize, someone I don't want to become. The room closes in on me. I need to escape. I swipe over the latest message and the words hit me like a freight train. Let's meet tonight at my place. Everything I thought I knew, everything I built has crumbled. My life as I knew it is shattered. I can't stay in this dark room, surrounded by these damning messages. My hands tremble and the phone feels like it's burning into my skin. I need to confront her, I need answers. I storm into the bedroom where Emma is casually brushing her hair, as calm and composed as ever. She doesn't even look at me when I enter, continuing her routine as if everything is normal. I don't know whether to scream or cry. Instead, I blurt out in a voice barely controlled, "Who the hell is Lucas?" She freezes, the brush stopping mid-stroke, her eyes briefly flickering to meet mine in the mirror before quickly looking away. That glance is all the confirmation I need, but I want to hear her say it. I need to see her guilt, to hear the panic in her voice. "Lucas?" she asks, her tone too casual, too practiced. "He's my boss. You met him at the holiday party, remember?" A wave of rage rises within me. How can she lie so smoothly? Don't play games with me, Emma. I saw the messages. I know everything. Her face pales and the brush falls from her hand, clattering onto the dresser. She turns slowly, her eyes wide with fear. "What messages?" she whispers. I shove my phone in her face, scrolling through the text, the pictures, the undeniable evidence. Her expression shifts from shock to horror, then to resignation. She doesn't even try to deny it. Tears well in her eyes, but I no longer care. I've cried enough for both of us. I want her to admit it, to confess her sins, to beg for forgiveness that I'm not sure I can give. "I'm sorry," she whispers, her voice breaking. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen." "Mistake?" I spit the word out like venom. "You've been sleeping with him for months, and you call that a mistake. How long, Emma? How long have you been lying to me?" She collapses onto the bed, burying her face in her hands. "It started a few months ago," she sobs. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was lonely, you were always so busy, and he paid attention to me. He made me feel wanted." Her words slice through me. I've been working tirelessly to secure our future, believing I was doing the right thing by providing for us. And this is how she repays me? By betraying me with her boss because she felt lonely? "I've always wanted you, Emma," I snap. "If you felt neglected, you should have talked to me, not run to someone else." She flinches, but I don't care. The fury inside me is too hot, consuming everything. But I want to destroy something, anything to hurt her the way she's hurt me. "I know," she whispers, barely audible. "I should have. But it's too late now, isn't it? I've ruined everything." "A damn right you have," I growl. "And you're going to pay for it. Both of you." With that, I turn on my heel and walk out, leaving her sobbing on the bed. I don't know where I'm going, but I can't stay here. I can't be around her without losing my mind. I grab my keys and get into the car, driving aimlessly through the night, my thoughts a chaotic mess. How could she do this to me? How could she betray me like that? I've given her everything, and this is how she repays me. Hours pass as I drive through the city, my mind racing, trying to make sense of it all. It feels like I'm trapped in a nightmare from which I can't wake up. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved and trusted is gone. She's been replaced by someone I don't recognize, someone capable of lying, cheating, and breaking my heart without a second thought. As the anger begins to cool, something darker takes its place: revenge. I don't just want to make her suffer, I want to destroy the man who took her from me. I want to ruin him, make him feel the same pain I'm feeling. But as I start to plot my revenge, I realize it won't be easy. Lucas isn't just some random guy. He's wealthy, powerful, and well-connected. Taking him down won't be simple, and it won't be clean. If I'm going to do this, I need to be smart, careful. One wrong move, and he'll crush me like an insect. I pull over to the side of the road, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turn white. I'm at a crossroads. I could confront him, expose the affair, and watch the fallout. But would that be enough? Or do I need to go further? Do I need to hit him where it really hurts? The more I think about it, the more I realize that ruining his career won't be enough. He'll bounce back, find another job, and move on with his life. Meanwhile, I'll be left with nothing but the wreckage of my marriage. No, I need to ensure he loses everything: his job, his reputation, his wealth. I need to make him regret ever touching what was mine. But where do I start? I don't know much about him, beyond what Emma has told me. I need more information, something I can use against him. I need to know his weaknesses, his secrets. And for that, I need help. There's one person who comes to mind, an old college friend who's now a private investigator. We haven't spoken in years, but if anyone can dig up dirt on Lucas, it's him. I pull out my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find his number. My hand hovers over the call button, hesitating. Once I make this call, there's no turning back. But the anger inside me is too strong, too consuming. I need to do this, for my own sanity. I press the call button and wait, my heart pounding in my chest. After a few rings, he picks up, his voice gruff and familiar. "It's been a while," he says, a hint of surprise in his tone. "Yeah," I reply, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need your help." "Help with what?" he asks, curious. I hesitate for a moment, then take a deep breath. "I need you to dig up everything you can on a man named Lucas. He's my wife's boss. I want to know his secrets, his weaknesses, anything I can use against him." There's a long pause on the other end. I can almost hear him weighing the risks, considering whether he wants to get involved in something like this. Finally, he sighs, "All right. But you know this won't be cheap, and it won't be quick." "I don't care about the cost," I say, my voice cold. "Just get me what I need." "All right," he says again. "I'll start digging. But be careful, man. Once you start down this path, there's no going back." I hang up the phone, my mind racing with possibilities. I know he's right, there's no going back from this. But I don't care. I'm too far gone, too consumed by the need for revenge. I need to make them both pay for what they've done. I sit there in the car, the engine idling, as the reality of what I've set in motion sinks in. I'm about to destroy a man's life, to ruin him in ways he can't even imagine. And in the process, I might destroy myself too, but it's too late to turn back now. I've made my decision, and I'll make them both pay no matter the cost. The next few days are a blur. My friend Sam works quickly. He's thorough, discreet, and most importantly, loyal to me. Soon enough, the reports start coming in. Emails filled with details about Lucas's life, his finances, his relationships, his business dealings. Nothing is off limits. I learned that Lucas isn't just wealthy, he's powerful. He's built a network of connections in high places, politicians, businessmen, even some shady characters that operate outside the law. His influence stretches far, and he's used it to climb the ladder by any means necessary. So bribes, blackmail, threats, it's all there, hidden behind layers of legitimate deals. On the surface, he's the picture of success, charming, charismatic, with a spotless reputation. But underneath, he's a monster. So the more I uncover, the more satisfaction I feel. But with each new piece of information, I also realize how dangerous he is. So I've been careful, leaving no direct trail that can to his dirty work. But everyone has a weakness, and I'm determined to find his. I focus on his company. Lucas's business is his crown jewel, the empire he built from the ground up. But it's also his Achilles heel. Sam digs deeper, pulling financial records, emails, anything that could tie Lucas to illegal activities. Bribery, tax evasion, money laundering, it's all there, hidden beneath layers of legitimate transactions. I know I can use this to bring him down, but I need solid proof. Something undeniable that will hold up in court, leaving no room for doubt. As the investigation intensifies, the tension in my home grows unbearable. Emma tries to talk to me, tries to explain, but I can't bear to look at her without seeing the betrayal in her eyes. She begs for forgiveness, but I have none left to give. Our conversations are clipped cold. We share the same house, but it feels like we're living on opposite sides of a canyon. She's a stranger to me now, and I don't care. All I can think about is Lucas and how I'm going to make him pay. Just this one night, Emma comes to me, her eyes swollen from crying. "We need to talk," she says, her voice trembling. I stared at her blankly, not interested in anything she has to say. I'm not in the mood for talking. She takes a deep breath, steeling herself. "Please just listen. I know I hurt you. I know I've done something unforgivable. But I want to fix this. I want us to find a way to move forward." I let out a bitter laugh, harsh and cold. "Move forward? After what you've done? There's no moving forward, Emma. You destroyed everything." She flinches at my words, but she doesn't back down. I know, and I hate myself for it. "But I still love you. We've been through so much together. Don't throw it away because of one mistake." "One mistake?" I spit, anger surging through me again. "It wasn't just one time, Emma. It wasn't just one night. You had an affair. You lied to me over and over again. You made me feel like a fool." Tears stream down her face, but I'm too far gone to care. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I don't know how to make it right, but I want to try. I'll do anything, just tell me what to do." I stare at her, feeling nothing but the cold void inside. I don't want to fix this. I don't want to find a way forward. I want her to suffer the way I have. I want Lucas to pay for what he's done. "Get out," I say, my voice flat. "I can't look at you right now. Just get out." She hesitates, as if she has more to say, but then she turns and walks away, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I watch her go, feeling nothing but emptiness. Weeks pass, and the plan starts to come together. I've gathered enough evidence now to ruin Lucas, to bring his entire empire crashing down. But I have to be cautious. He's got eyes and ears everywhere, and if he even suspects that I'm up to something, he'll strike first. I set up a meeting with a journalist I trust, someone who's not afraid to take on the powerful. We meet in a small cafe, far from prying eyes. I hand over the documents, the proof of Lucas's illegal activities. "This is big," the journalist says, flipping through the pages. "If this goes public, it'll destroy him." "That's the idea," I reply, my voice hard. "But you know Lucas isn't going to take this lying down, right? He's got power, connections. He could make your life very difficult." "I'm counting on it," I say, a grim smile tugging at my lips. "Let him come after me. I'm ready." The journalist nods, slipping the files into a briefcase. "I'll get this published, but be careful, you're playing with fire." "I know," I say, "but it's a fire I started, and I'm not stopping until it burns him to the ground." As I leave the cafe, I feel a dark sense of satisfaction. The wheels are in motion, and there's no turning back now. I've committed to this path, and I'll see it through, no matter what. But as the days pass, a gnawing sense of unease creeps in. Lucas hasn't made a move yet, but I know it's only a matter of time. He's too smart not to notice that something's wrong, and when he does, he'll come at me with everything he's got. I try to keep my emotions in check, but it's getting harder. The closer I get to destroying him, the more I realize how much I've lost. My marriage is in ruins, my life consumed by hatred and revenge. I barely recognize myself anymore. Then, one night, I get a call from Sam. His voice is tense, urgent. "We need to meet, now." A jolt of fear shoots through me. What's wrong? It's Lucas. He knows. My blood runs cold. How? I don't know, but he's making moves. You need to be careful. He's dangerous. I hang up the phone, my mind racing. This is the moment I've been waiting for. But instead of feeling triumphant, a sense of dread washes over me. I've pushed too far, and now the game has changed. I meet Sam in an underground parking garage, the shadows thick around us. He looks more worried than I've ever seen him. "Lucas isn't just dangerous," Sam says, handing me a file. "He's ruthless. He's been tying up loose ends, making sure no one can touch him." I open the file, my heart sinking as I read. It's a list of people connected to Lucas, people who crossed him. Most of them are ruined, some financially, others personally. A few have disappeared altogether. "He's coming for you," Sam says, his voice low. "He's not going to let you walk away from this." "I'm not walking away," I say, my voice steely. "I'm going to finish what I started." But even as I say the words, doubt creeps in. Lucas is more powerful than I ever imagined, and now he knows I'm coming for him. The stakes have never been higher, and the risks are growing by the day. I start making preparations, readying myself for the inevitable confrontation. I know Lucas won't let this slide, so he's going to strike back, and when he does, I need to be ready. I withdraw money from our joint accounts and transfer it to a new one in my name. I start liquidating assets, preparing for the possibility that I might need to disappear. I change my routines, making sure I'm not being followed. But the paranoia grows, gnawing at me day and night. Every shadow feels threatening, every stranger a potential enemy. Emma notices the change in me. She tries to talk to me, to understand what's going on, but I shut her out. She doesn't need to know. She's already done enough damage. One night, she corners me in the kitchen, her eyes wide with fear. "What's happening, David?" she asks, her voice trembling. "You're scaring me. You're acting like someone's after you." I freeze, my heart pounding. How much does she know? How much has she guessed? "I'm fine," I say quickly, too quickly. "It's just work. Things are stressful right now." "Don't lie to me," she snaps, her voice sharp with frustration. "I know something's wrong. You've been hiding things, shutting me out. What's going on?" I stare at her, torn between anger and guilt. She's right, but I can't let her in. I can't let her see the darkness that's taken hold of me, the obsession that's driving me to the brink. "It's none of your business," I say coldly. "Just stay out of it, Emma. You've done enough." She recoils as if I've slapped her, tears welling in her eyes. "I'm your wife," she whispers, her voice cracking. "At least I used to be. Why are you shutting me out?" "Because you betrayed me." I snap, the anger rising uncontrollably. "You made your choice. I'm making mine." And she opens her mouth to argue, but then she closes it, shaking her head in disbelief. "I don't even know who you are anymore. I turn away from her, unable to look at the pain in her eyes. But the truth is, I don't know who I am anymore either. The man I used to be is gone, replaced by someone driven by rage and vengeance. Someone I barely recognize. The next day, I get a call from the journalist. The story's going live in the morning, and once it does, there's no going back. Lucas's secrets will be exposed to the world, and his empire will crumble. But as I hang up the phone, I can't shake the feeling that something is wrong. I've pushed too hard, too fast. I've underestimated Lucas's reach, his power, and now I'm about to face the consequences. That night, I barely sleep. My mind is a whirlwind of fear and anticipation. I keep checking the clock, counting down the hours until the story goes live. When the first light of dawn creeps through the curtains, I'm already up, pacing the floor, waiting for the explosion. And then it comes, not with a bang, but with a whisper. My phone rings, the number unlisted. I answer it, my heart in my throat. "David," Lucas's voice purrs on the other end, smooth and deadly. "I hope you're ready for what's coming." My blood runs cold. "What do you want?" "Just to let you know," he says, amusement dripping from his tone. "The game is over. You've lost." I hang up, my hands trembling. I know what's coming. The story may be going live, but Lucas has already made his move. The stakes are higher than ever, and I'm caught in a game I no longer control. And the next morning, my phone is buzzing nonstop with calls, texts, and emails, most from numbers I don't recognize. So news alerts flash across the screen, my name plastered in the headlines. The story about Lucas dirty dealings is everywhere, spreading like wildfire. I should feel victorious, but a sick feeling churns in my gut. I throw on clothes and rush downstairs, my mind spinning as I try to steady my nerves. Emma walks into the kitchen looking like she ain't slept either. Her eyes are red, her hair disheveled. I can see the fear in her face. What's going on, David? She asks, her voice shaking. Why are people calling? What's happening? I hesitate for a moment, then decide to tell her the truth. It's Lucas, I say, trying to keep my voice calm. His dirty laundry is all over the news. His career is over. Her eyes widen in shock. You did this, didn't you? You leaked the story. I had to, I say, setting my coffee cup down with a sharp clang. It was the only way to make him pay for what he did. Her expression shouldn't shift to something darker fear. David, you don't understand. Lucas isn't just going to sit back and let this happen. He's dangerous. I know that, I snap, but I'm not afraid of him. He's been playing dirty for years, ruining lives. Now it's his turn. She looks at me like she doesn't recognize the man standing in front of her. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know if I recognize myself anymore either, but that doesn't matter. I've come too far to back down now. The rest of the day is a blur. The phone doesn't stop ringing. Reporters want comments. Friends and colleagues call in shock and concern. I ignore most of it, focused on what's coming next. I know Lucas won't let this go without a fight, and I'm ready for him. By late afternoon, I get the call I've been dreading. It's my lawyer, and he sounds frantic. David, we need to talk. Now. I drive to his office, my heart pounding the entire way. When I walk in, he's pacing the room, his face pale. It's bad, he says, not bothering with pleasantries. Lucas's legal team has already filed a lawsuit against you for defamation. They're claiming you fabricated the story. A cold wave of fear washes over me. But it's true, we have the evidence. They don't care about the truth, he snaps. They care about winning. And with the resources Lucas has, they're going to bury you in legal fees and drag this out until you're ruined. I sink into a chair, my mind racing. This wasn't supposed to happen. I was supposed to destroy Lucas, not the other way around. Do we have to fight this? I say, though my voice lacks conviction. We will, my lawyer replies, but he doesn't sound convinced either. But you need to prepare yourself. This could get ugly. And if Lucas decides to go after you personally, you could lose everything. I leave his office feeling like the walls are closing in on me. The thrill of victory I had felt earlier is gone, replaced by a deep sense of dread. I've started a war one might not be able to win. So when I get home, Emma's waiting for me. Her face is pale, her eyes hollow. She doesn't say anything at first, just hands me a letter. And my heart sinks as I see the lawyer's letterhead. I'm filing for divorce, she says, her voice flat. I can't do this anymore, David. I'm sorry. I don't respond. I just nod, numb to everything. She turns and walks away, leaving me alone in the wreckage of my life. For the next few days, I'm a ghost. I can't sleep, I can't eat. My mind is consumed with thoughts of revenge, of how I can turn the tables on Lucas. But every time I think I have a plan, I realize how futile it all is. He's too powerful, too well connected, and I'm just a man who's lost everything. But then something changes. I hit rock bottom, and in the darkness I find a sliver of clarity. I've been fighting this war on Lucas's terms, playing his game. But if I'm going to beat him, I need to change the rules. I start thinking about what Lucas values most: his reputation, his money, his power. And I realize there's one thing he hasn't counted on, one thing he hasn't prepared for: desperation. I've got nothing left to lose, and that makes me dangerous, more dangerous than he ever imagined. I spend the next few days laying the groundwork. I contact every person Lucas has wronged, every business partner he's crossed, every enemy he's made. There are a lot of them. One by one, I gather them together, forming a coalition of the wronged. Alone, none of us could take him down, but together we're a force to be reckoned with. I'm meticulous in my planning, careful not to leave any trace that can be tied back to me. I know Lucas is watching, waiting for me to make a mistake. But this time I'm ahead of him. I've learned from my failures, and I'm ready to strike where it hurts. Finally, the day comes. The trap is set, and Lucas has no idea what's about to hit him. I watch from a distance, keeping to the shadows as the pieces fall into place. His allies start turning on him, his businesses begin to falter, and the empire he's carefully built starts to crumble. But it's not enough to just ruin him financially. I need to break him completely. I need to take away the one thing he can't live without: his pride. So watching him scramble, trying to hold everything together, I feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. But as the cracks in his world deepen, the reality of what I've done begins to settle in. I've won, but victory tastes bitter. It's laced with the understanding of how much I've lost along the way. Even as Lucas's life unravels, it's not his downfall that haunts me. It's the realization that I've become someone I never wanted to be: a man consumed by revenge, unrecognizable from the one who stood in the same place months ago. Till the man I was, the one who believed in fairness, injustice is gone, replaced by a shadow, a reflection of the very thing I set out to destroy. Yet even now I'm not done. There's still one last move to make, one final act of revenge that will seal both Lucas's fate and my own. The courtroom is silent, the tension in the air thick and oppressive. I sit at the defense table, my lawyer next to me, his face calm and professional, but I can sense the anxiety beneath his demeanor. This trial isn't just about winning or losing, it's about survival. Across the room, Lucas sits with his legal team, his expression unreadable. He's dressed in his usual polished suit, every bit the powerful businessman he's always been. But I can see the strain around his eyes as the way his jaw clenches every time he looks in my direction. But he knows what's at stake. We both do. The prosecution paints me as a man consumed by jealousy and revenge. A man who, blinded by rage, set out to destroy anyone who stood in his way. Witness after witness testifies to my so-called erratic behavior, to my obsession with Lucas, to the lengths I went to in order to ruin him. Each word feels like a hammer blow. But I remain composed, knowing this is my only chance to salvage what's left of my life. When it's our turn, my lawyer presents the evidence we've gathered, the proof that Lucas isn't the innocent victim he pretends to be. We reveal his shady business deals, the people he's crushed, the lives he's destroyed to maintain his power. But Lucas's legal team is prepared. They counter every point, twist every piece of evidence to their advantage, muddying the waters until the truth feels distant, almost irrelevant. The trial drags on for days, each one more grueling than the last. The media is all over it, and every headline drags my name through the mud. Colleagues who once respected me now avoid me. My phone, once buzzing with support, is silent. Sarah hasn't been to the trial, and she's made it clear she wants nothing more to do with me. I can't blame her. After everything that's happened, I'm not the man she married anymore. Hell, I'm not even sure I recognize myself. On the final day, I'm called to the stand. The courtroom is tense, every eye on me as I take the oath and sit down. My lawyer asks me a series of questions, laying out our defense carefully and methodically. I answer as calmly as I can, but inside I'm a roiling mess of emotions. Then it's the prosecution's turn. The lead prosecutor, a sharp-eyed woman with a reputation for being ruthless, approaches. She looks at me like she's about to tear me apart, and I brace myself for what's coming. So, Mr. Cole, she begins, her voice smooth and controlled. You've made it clear that you believe Mr. Davis is as corrupt as the eye and dangerous to you and say. Yes, I reply, my voice steady. And you've gone to great lengths to gather evidence against him, even if it meant breaking the law yourself. I didn't break the law, I say, though even to my own ears, the words sound hollow. Really? She arches an eyebrow. So you didn't hire a private investigator to dig into Mr. Davis's personal life. You didn't spread damaging rumors about him in an attempt to destroy his reputation. I did what I had to do to expose the truth, I say, the anger bubbling up despite my efforts to keep it down. Lucas Davis is a criminal. He's hurt people, ruined lives. He deserved to be brought down. But that's not what this trial is about, is it? She asks, her voice growing sharper, like a predator moving in for the kill. This trial is about your actions, Mr. Cole, not Mr. Davis's. You're the one on trial here, not him. I grit my teeth. I know what she's doing, but it doesn't matter. She's right. I took matters into my own hands. I decided the ends justified the means, and now I'm paying the price. When the prosecutor finishes, I'm left sitting there feeling like I've been stripped bare. I've tried so hard to maintain control, to stay focused, but now, in this moment, it all feels futile. I've lost everything, my wife, my reputation, my future. And for what? To bring down a man who's still standing, still smiling as if none of this has touched him. The judge calls for a recess before closing arguments. I'm led back to a holding area where I'm supposed to sit and wait, but I can't sit still. I pace the small room, my mind racing. My lawyer comes in after a while, looking more exhausted than I feel. We've done all we can, he says, his voice heavy. Now it's up to the jury. What do you think? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to hear the answer. He hesitates, then shakes his head. It's hard to say. We've put up a good fight, but Lucas's team, they're good. Very good. I nod, feeling a weight settle in my chest. I knew this wouldn't be easy, but now, facing the reality of what's coming, it feels like a mountain I'll never be able to climb. When the recess is over, we return to the courtroom for closing arguments. The prosecution goes first, and they're brutal. They paint me as a man obsessed with revenge, a man who let his anger and jealousy drive him to ruin. They make Lucas out to be the victim, a man wronged by my actions, whose life has been unjustly upended. It's a masterful performance, and I can see the impact it has on the jury. They're tired, overwhelmed, and unsure who to believe. Then it's our turn. My lawyer stands and delivers a passionate plea for justice, arguing that the real criminal is Lucas Davis. He speaks of the people Lucas has hurt, the lives he's destroyed in his quest for power. But I can see it in the jury's eyes, they're exhausted. They don't know what to think anymore. When it's all over, the judge gives the jury their instructions and they file out to begin deliberating. The courtroom empties and I'm left sitting there, staring at the empty jury box, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on me. The waiting is excruciating. Hours pass and I sit in a small room with my lawyer, neither of us saying much. Every time the door opens, my heart leaps, only to sink again when it's not the jury returning with a verdict. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the bailiff enters and announces that the jury has reached a decision. My legs feel like lead as I follow the bailiff back into the courtroom. The weight of the moment presses down on me, suffocating, as I take my seat next to my lawyer. Across the room, Lucas sits with his legal team, looking calm, composed, almost smug. The jury files back in, their faces giving nothing away. I search their expressions for some sign, some hint of what's coming, but they're blank, unreadable. The judge asks the foreman if they've reached a verdict. The foreman, an older man with a stern face, stands and nods, handing a piece of paper to the bailiff. The courtroom is deathly silent as the bailiff passes the paper to the judge. My heart pounds in my chest, every second dragging out like an eternity. The judge scans the paper, his face impassive, then looks up and begins to read. On the charge of harassment, we find the defendant, David Cole, guilty. The words hit me like a physical blow, knocking the breath from my lungs. I hear a gasp from somewhere behind me, but I can't focus on anything except the roaring in my ears. My lawyer places a hand on my arm, but it feels distant, as if I'm not really here. All I can hear is that one word guilty echoing over and over again. The judge continues. On the charge of criminal conspiracy, we find the defendant, David Cole, not guilty. I blink, trying to process the words, not guilty, but it doesn't matter. The damage is done. I've been convicted, and my fate is sealed. The judge dismisses the jury, thanking them for their service, before turning his attention to me. His voice is calm, measured, as he informs me that sentencing will be scheduled at a later date. I nod numbly, not really hearing his words. It's over. It's all over. Her name hits me like a punch to the gut. I haven't heard from her since she visited me in prison. I thought that chapter of my life was closed, that I'd never see or hear from her again. Sarah, I say, trying to keep my voice steady, I didn't expect to hear from you. I wasn't sure if I should call, she admits, her voice soft, tentative. But I needed to know how you're doing. I'm getting by, I say, unsure of how much I should share. Trying to rebuild. It's been tough. I figured it would be, she says, and there's a sadness in her voice that tugs at something inside me. I'm sorry for everything, David. I know I said it before, but I don't think I ever really understood how much damage I caused. There's a long silence between us. I don't know what to say. I thought I was past her, but hearing her voice again stirs something deep inside me. I'm not the same person I was, Sarah, I finally say. You're not either. I don't think we can go back. I know, she whispers. I wasn't calling for that. I just wanted to hear your voice, to know you're okay. Are you okay? I ask, unsure if I really want to hear the answer. She pauses, then says, I think so. I moved away, started over. It hasn't been easy, but I'm trying to find some peace. I hope you do too. Yeah, I murmur, not trusting myself to say more. I hope so. We sit in silence for a few moments, both of us trapped in the memories of a life that's gone, a life we can never get back. Finally, she speaks. Take care of yourself, David. You deserve a second chance. You too, Sarah, I say quietly. Goodbye. She hangs up, and I sit there, staring at the phone in my hand, feeling the weight of everything that's been left unsaid. Maybe this really is the closure I needed, or maybe it's just another reminder of the things I've lost. But as I set the phone down, I realize something. I'm still here, and that has to count for something. The next morning, I wake up with a sense of purpose I haven't felt in a long time. I may not know what the future holds, but for the first time, I'm not afraid of it. I've survived the worst, and I'm still here, ready to face whatever comes next. As I walk out into the bright morning light, I take a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill my lungs. The road ahead is uncertain, but it's mine to walk, and for the first time in a long time, that feels like enough. As the days pass, I begin to feel more at ease in this new life, one step at a time. The jobs Sam sends me keep me busy and distracted, and I slowly start to rebuild my sense of self. It's far from the life I once imagined for myself, but in some ways it's simpler. No grand ambitions, no high-stakes games, just surviving and trying to move forward. But there's a nagging feeling that I can't quite shake the unfinished business with Lucas. While I've spent months trying to leave it behind, it lingers like a shadow at the edge of my mind. He's still out there living his life, seemingly untouched by everything that's happened. He didn't lose his empire, he's managed to repair the cracks, rebuild, and maintain his power. That knowledge gnaws at me, a reminder that despite everything, he's still standing. One evening, as I sit in my apartment, nursing a drink, I get a message from Sam. It's a single line, but it changes everything. I have something you need to see. I meet Sam the next day in a run-down diner on the edge of the city, a place where no one would think to look for either of us. He's sitting in a booth at the back, his face grim as he watches me approach. I slide into the seat across from him, and before I can ask, he pushes a folder across the table. What's this? I ask, eyeing the folder cautiously. Proof, he says simply, of what Lucas has really been up to. I've been keeping an eye on him, quietly digging in the background, and I found something that could finally take him down for good. My pulse quickens as I open the folder. Inside are documents, emails, and bank records, evidence of corruption, bribery, and backdoor deals that go far deeper than I'd ever imagined. Lucas has been involved in shady business transactions, not just illegal, but dangerous. There are ties to criminal organizations, money laundering, and a whole network of under-the-table dealings that, if exposed, would destroy him beyond repair. I glance up at Sam, my heart pounding. This is huge. If this goes public, it'll ruin him, Sam finishes completely. There's no coming back from this, but you need to be careful, David. Lucas isn't just powerful, he's ruthless. If you move on this, he'll come after you with everything he's got. I stare down at the folder, feeling the weight of it. This is what I wanted, what I've been waiting for. The final piece of the puzzle, the chance to bring him down once and for all. But as I sit there, the same gnawing doubt rises again. I've already lost so much in this battle, my marriage, my career, my freedom. Am I ready to risk everything again? Sam watches me closely. You've got a choice here, David. You can walk away, forget about Lucas and start fresh. Or you can use this and finish what you started. I take a deep breath, the tension building in my chest. I know what I should do. The smart thing would be to walk away, to leave Lucas in the past and move on. But the desire for closure, for justice, burns too hot. I can't walk away, I finally say, my voice low but firm. Not after everything. Sam nods, understanding in his eyes. I figured you'd say that. But be careful. Lucas will retaliate, and he's not going to play fair. I take the folder, slipping it into my bag, and stand. Thanks, Sam, for everything. Well, good luck, he says, his tone somber. You're going to need it. Back in my apartment, I spread the documents out on the table, reading through them carefully. Every piece of evidence is more damning than the last. Lucas's entire operation is built on lies, corruption, and fear. For a moment, I feel a surge of triumph. This could be at the final blow that brings him crashing down. But the reality of what I'm about to do sinks in just as quickly. Exposing Lucas will come at a cost, and I have to be ready to face it. I spend the next few days meticulously preparing. I contact the journalist who broke the original story about Lucas's shady business dealings. She's skeptical at first, wary of getting involved again, but once I show her the evidence, her hesitation disappears. This is explosive, she says, her eyes wide as she flips through the files. If we publish this, it'll blow everything wide open. That's the plan, I reply, trying to keep my voice steady. But you know what this means, right? She continues, glancing up at me. Once this hits the public, Lucas will come for you, hard. I know, I say, swallowing the fear that rises in my throat. But I'm ready. She gives me a long, searching look before nodding. All right, I'll get this published. But be careful, David. You're playing with fire. The next few days are agonizing. Every hour feels like a lifetime as I wait for the story to go live. I keep expecting something to happen, Lucas's men to come knocking at my door, some warning sign that he knows what's coming. But there's nothing. The silence is unnerving, and the longer I wait, the more Marv's fray. Then one morning it happens. The story breaks. It's everywhere, headlines splashed across every major news outlet. Social media ablaze with reactions. The details of Lucas's corruption are laid bare for the world to see, and there's no way he can talk his way out of it this time. The fallout is immediate. Investors pull out of his business, clients sever ties, and his carefully constructed empire begins to collapse. For the first time in months, I feel a strange sense of satisfaction, like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I've finally done it. I've taken him down. But the victory is short-lived. Later that evening, as I'm sitting in my apartment, there's a knock at the door. My heart skips a beat, and I freeze. I wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, I get up and walk to the door, my pulse racing. When I open it, I see two men in suits standing in the hallway, their expressions cold and unreadable. David Cole? One of them asks, though he already knows the answer. Yes, I reply, my voice steady despite the fear creeping up my spine. We need to have a word, the man says, his voice low and authoritative. May we come in? I step aside, letting them enter. I know who they are, and I know why they're here. Lucas has made his move. The next few hours are a blur of threats, warnings, and intimidation. The men make it clear that Lucas isn't finished with me, not by a long shot. They tell me that if I don't retract the story, if I don't back off, things will get ugly, dangerously ugly. As they leave, I'm left standing in my apartment, my heart pounding in my chest. The fear is real now, pressing down on me with a force I can't ignore. I've crossed a line, and there's no going back. But even as the fear grips me, a steely resolve hardens within me. I've come too far to back down now. Lucas may be powerful, but I'm not the same man I was when this all started. I've lost everything, but I've survived, and I'm not about to let him win. I sit down at the table, my mind racing. The war isn't over yet, but I know one thing for sure, I'm not running. Not this time. The door clicks shut behind the men, and I'm left standing alone in my apartment. My heart races and a deep sense of dread creeps over me, but beneath the fear is something else, determination. This is the final stretch, and I've already given up too much to let Lucas beat me now. I don't sleep that night. Instead, I sit at the kitchen table thinking, planning, and considering my options. But the men made it clear, if I don't retract the story, if I don't disappear, things will get ugly. But I'm done running. Lucas won't scare me into submission. I'm not the same man I was when this all started. I make one more call to the journalist. It's getting bad, I tell her, my voice low. Lucas's people came to my door tonight. They want me to retract the story. But I'm not backing down. There's a pause on the other end. David, are you sure about this? I've seen what men like Lucas can do. They can ruin you, or worse. I'm already ruined, I say with a bitter laugh. And as for worse, I'm not afraid anymore. He's going to come after me no matter what. But we've come this far. Let's see it through. All right, she says quietly. But be careful. I'll keep digging and I'll make sure the story stays alive. The call ends and I sit in the silence, knowing what's coming. I won't retract the story, and I know Lucas will retaliate. But I'm prepared for whatever happens next. The next few days are a blur of tension and anticipation. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Lucas's empire continues to unravel in the public eye. New stories emerge, feeding off the original scandal, exposing more of his corruption. The once invincible businessman is now fighting to stay afloat. But he hasn't made his move on me yet, and the waiting is agonizing. Finally, it happens. Late one night, I'm driving back to my apartment after meeting with Sam. The streets are quiet, nearly empty, and I catch a glimpse of headlights in my rearview mirror. The car has been following me for the last few miles, sticking too close, too deliberate. I take a deep breath, gripping the steering wheel tightly, and turn off into a side street. The car follows. My heart pounds, but I stay calm. This is it. Lucas's retaliation. I speed up, winding through the narrow streets of the city, trying to lose the tail. But they stay on me, gaining ground. My mind races, adrenaline pumping through my veins as I try to figure out my next move. I won't be able to outrun them for long. I need to confront them. Suddenly, they pull up alongside me, forcing me to swerve. My car screeches to a stop against the curb. Before I can react, two men jump out of the other car. It's the same men from my apartment, only now their intentions are clear. I step out of the car, hands up, trying to keep the situation calm. But the moment I do, one of the men lunges at me, shoving me against the side of my car. His fist slams into my stomach, and I double over in pain. They're not here to talk. This is your last chance, the man growls in my ear. Back off. Retract the story. Disappear. Or next time you won't be walking away. I cough, struggling to catch my breath. Tell Lucas I'm not afraid of him, I manage to choke out. I'm not going anywhere. The man's grip tightens on my collar, and I see the fury in his eyes. He raises his fist again, ready to strike, but suddenly headlights flood the street. Another car pulls up, and I hear voices shouting. Hey, what's going on over there? The men freeze for a moment, then release me, backing away. They don't want to be seen. Without another word, they jump back into their car and speed off into the night. I collapse against my car, gasping for breath, the adrenaline still coursing through my body. The car that arrived lingers for a moment before driving away, leaving me alone once again. I'm shaken, but I'm not broken. Not yet. The next morning, I receive a text from Sam. We need to meet. I have something for you. I drive to his office, still sore from the previous night's encounter. Sam is waiting for me, his face grim but determined. He hands me a small USB drive. This, he says, is the final piece. I stare at the drive in my hand. What is it? It's everything. Proof that Lucas's people have been involved in more than just shady deals. There's evidence of violence, threats, even a connection to a disappearance a few years ago. If this goes public, he's finished. I swallow hard, the weight of the drive heavy in my hand. And you're sure this will be enough? Sam nods. More than enough. But once you use this, there's no going back. Lucas will stop at nothing to protect himself. I nod, feeling the gravity of the situation settle over me. I understand. Let's end this. That evening, the story breaks. It's everywhere and exposed, detailing Lucas's connection to organized crime, violence, and the disappearance of a business associate who got too close to uncovering the truth. The evidence is undeniable, and within hours, Lucas's world crumbles. His business collapses, investors flee, and criminal investigations are launched. His empire, once impenetrable, is reduced to rubble. But Lucas doesn't disappear quietly. A few days later, I receive a call from Sam. His voice is tense. David, Lucas is gone. Gone? What do you mean?